Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis, from the words of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Fear, Part 4. From the Mother. Question: can one get ill through fear? Mother: yes, I knew someone who was so full of fear that he got cholera. There was cholera in the next house, and he got so frightened that he caught the illness, and without any other reason. There was no other reason for his catching it. It was through sheer fright. And it is a very common thing. In an epidemic, it is so in the majority of cases. It is through fear that the door is opened and you catch the illness. Those who have no fear can go about freely, and generally they catch nothing. But still, as I have said there, you may have no fear in the mind. You may have no fear even in the vital. But who has no fear in the body? Very few. A strict discipline is needed to cure the body of fear. The cells themselves tremble. It is only by discipline, by yoga, that one can overcome this fear. But it is a fact that one can catch anything through fear, even invite an accident. And you see, from a certain point of view, everything is contagious. I knew a person who got a wound through the kind of fear that he felt seeing someone else's wound. He really got it. Question: what is the difference between mental, vital, and physical fear? Mother: if you are conscious of the movement of your mind, the movement of your vital, and the movement of your physical, you know it. The mental, it is very simple. Thoughts come. You begin thinking, for example, there is this illness, and this illness is very contagious. Perhaps you are going to catch it. And if you catch it, it is going to be a terrible affair. And what is to be done so as not to catch it? So the mind begins to tremble. What is going to happen tomorrow? Etc. The vital, you feel it. You feel it in your sensations. All at once you feel hot, you feel cold, you perspire, or all kinds of unpleasant things happen. And then you feel your heart beating fast, and suddenly you have fever. And then the circulation stops, and you become cold. Physically, well, when you do not any longer have the other two fears, you can become aware of the physical fear. Generally, the other two are much more conscious. They hide the physical fear from you. But when you have no longer any mental or vital fear, then you become aware of it. It is a curious little vibration that gets into your cells, and they begin shivering that way. But the cells are not like a heart beating very fast. It is in the very cells. They tremble with just a slight quivering. And it is very difficult to control this. Yet it can be controlled. From the ordinary point of view, in most cases, it is usually fear. Fear, which may be mental fear, vital fear, but which is almost always physical fear. A fear in the cells. A fear which opens the door to all contagion. Mental fear, all who have a little control over themselves or any human dignity can eliminate it. Vital fear is more subtle and asks for a greater control. As for physical fear, a veritable yoga is necessary to overcome it. For the cells of the body are afraid of everything that is unpleasant, painful, and as soon as there is any unease, even if it is insignificant, the cells of the body become anxious. They don't like to be uncomfortable. And then to overcome that, the control of a conscious will is necessary. It is usually this kind of fear that opens the door to illnesses. And I am not speaking of the first two types of fear, which, as I said, any human being who wants to be human in the noblest sense of the word must overcome, for that is cowardice. But physical fear is more difficult to overcome. Without it, even the most violent attacks could be repelled. If one has a minimum control over the body, one can lessen its effects, but that is not immunity. It is this kind of trembling of material, physical fear in the cells of the body which aggravates all illnesses. Some people are spontaneously free from fear, even in their body. They have a sufficient vital equilibrium in them not to be afraid, not to fear, and a natural harmony in the rhythm of their physical life, which enables them to reduce the illness spontaneously to a minimum. There are others, on the other hand, with whom the thing always becomes as bad as it can be, sometimes to the point of catastrophe. There is the whole range, and this can be seen quite easily. Well, this depends on a kind of happy rhythm of the movement of life in them, which is either harmonious enough to resist external attacks of illness, or else doesn't exist, or is not sufficiently powerful, and is replaced by that trembling of fear. That kind of instinctive anguish, which transforms the least unpleasant contact into something painful and harmful. There is the whole range, from someone who can go through the worst contagion and epidemics without ever catching anything, to one who falls ill at the slightest chance. So, naturally, it always depends on the constitution of each person. And as soon as one wants to make an effort for progress, it naturally depends on the control one has acquired over oneself, until the moment when the body becomes the docile instrument of a higher will, and one can obtain from it a normal resistance to all attacks. But when one can eliminate fear, one is almost in safety. For example, epidemics, or so-called epidemics, like those which are raging at present. 99 times out of 100, they come from fear. A fear, then, which even becomes a mental fear in its most sordid form, promoted by newspaper articles, useless talk, and so on.